Hello everyone, and welcome to Making Crafts with MidPointe. My name is Miss Paige, and I'm super excited to share a fun craft with you today. Well, today we will be making a wax resist paper plate winter hat. So this is a craft that you might have all of the supplies for at home. It's pretty simple. All you're going to need is a paper plate. You'll need some paints. It can be watercolor. Anything that's water-based is best. Obviously a little bit of water to go with that. Glue and some cotton balls or pom-pom balls work too. And then the last two things is a wax crayon. I use the color white here because I'm making a winter hat, but really you can use any crayon as long as it's wax-based. And then, of course, a pair of scissors. So to get started, you're going to take your paper plate and you're going to cut the bottom off. You don't have to cut it in half. You just need to cut a little bit off from the bottom to get it into that hat shape. So you want a flat bottom and a rounded top, just like that. You can make it shorter or longer, whatever works best for you. And if you want to cut it in half, you can, and that way you can make two. I just did a little bit off the bottom for mine. So we're going to move our scissors and the other half of our plate out of the way because we're ready for the next step. So all you need to decorate your hat is that crayon I was talking about earlier. And I said I'm going to use a white crayon so it kind of looks wintry, but you can use any crayon. You can use a black crayon for details. You can use your favorite color. It doesn't really matter. It's all going to work the same as long as it's that wax, right? And that's what crayons are made out of. So any crayon you grab should work. Now, all you have to do is decorate your hat however you would like. You can come up with any design. I did some beautiful snowflakes on my first one, and I think I'm going to do some more snowflakes again. So I'm going to take my crayon and I'm just going to draw right there on my hat. And in order for this to work, you want to make sure you press down pretty hard. Obviously, you don't want to break your crayon, but we do want that wax to come through. So I'm going to go over my lines a couple times. Try to make them nice and thick, nice and strong. And if you are using a white crayon, it can be kind of hard to see what you're drawing. So a little tip or a trick that I have is I will take my hat or my paper plate and kind of angle it and tilt it around to see what I've already drawn and see where I need to add some more. So I'm just going to keep decorating, and then we will add our color. All right, I've got all my snowflakes on there. I'm going to brush it off a little bit, and we're going to go ahead and do our watercolor part here. Now on my other hat, like I said, it's a winter hat, so I did some blues and purples, but again, you can really do any colors you would like. So this time, I think I'm going to do a green hat. So I'm just going to get some water and some paint on my brush here, and I'm going to start painting. And the cool part about this is when you add your color and you paint on your hat, that is when the design starts to show up, kind of like magic. That's that wax in the crayon. It's resisting the paint and it's resisting the water. So that's how your design shows up. And you really don't need a lot of paint. You mostly need water here, just like you would with any sort of watercolor painting you're doing. Lots of water, not too much paint. And if you realize, oh, I need a little bit more paint, you can keep dipping in there over and over again to make it a little bit darker. Once you have your hat all painted and you can see your design, the last step is to add your cotton balls. Those are going to be like the pom-pom at the top of the hat or the fur down at the bottom there. And you can do whatever design you would like. I did some at the top and some at the bottom, but you can put it all over your hat. Remember, it's your hat, so you can make it look however you want. So because our design is still a little bit wet, we're going to use the liquid glue. If you want to wait for it to dry, you can use like a glue stick instead, but if it's still wet, then that liquid glue is going to be your best option here. So I put a little bit up at the top there, and then I take one of my cotton balls, and to make it a little bit bigger, I like to stretch them out a little bit. or you can use more than one cotton ball or more than one pom-pom. But I'm gonna squish him out and then push it right onto my hat. And then for the bottom, I'm gonna take my glue again, and I'm just gonna do one long line all the way across, like that. And I'm gonna take my cotton balls, and again, I'm gonna stretch them out just a little bit, and then stick those on one by one. Each one stretching just a tiny bit to make them a little bit bigger. And then I make sure I press down to make sure they're definitely stuck on there and they're not gonna fall off. And that is my finished hat. So like I said, you guys can use any colors you want. You can use any type of crayon you want as long as it's a wax crayon. And then of course you can use cotton balls or pom-poms or even ripped up paper if that's easier for you and that's what you have at home too. Anything like that is gonna make a cool wax resist hat. So that's all the time we have for Making Crafts with MidPointe today. I'm so glad you came in to join me today. And we have so many other fun programs here at the library. You can find them all listed on our printed program guide or at our website, midpointelibrary.org. Thanks for joining me today. Goodbye.